Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Times of uncertainty can often leave people feeling lost or even hopeless. Our next guest is here with advice to navigate through those tough transitions. We welcome back author and motivational speaker, Dr. Elijah Nicholas. It's so nice to see you looking so bright and cheery today.
It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I am excited to chat with you and our viewers today.
Well, let's talk about fostering hope in times that do feel really dark, because I know that's a big focus for you, finding those moments of positivity and bridging any divide that we can, and having some tough conversations sometimes.
Tough conversations are okay. And I want to start by doing something that I think is really important. And that's acknowledging both the promise that many people are feeling right now, as well as the pain that people are feeling right now. And know that both feelings are important. And I think that it's important as we navigate this time that we're in, when we look at division. It's so important for us to empathize with other people. I always like to say that I first seek to understand and then to be understood.
That makes a lot of sense, and you always hear how empathy can be the greatest tool. It's such a great way to bridge those tough divides, that you can always relate to at least some part of somebody else's experience, and then you kind of can feel for them in a deeper way.
Absolutely. Feeling when we put ourselves in someone else's shoes and someone else's situations, we can't always exactly feel that feeling. But when we set our intention to understand the circumstance and understand how another person is feeling, then we are more apt to relate to that person's experience.
Do you have any examples of success stories or times that you've been able to kind of bridge a divide with somebody, and using that empathy and hopefulness to move forward in a more positive direction?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question. Last year, the legislation is open right now. And last year, our nonprofit, the Global Trans Equity Project, we worked with one of the local representatives in Georgia and another organization called Westbridge Solutions. And we had the opportunity to share data points on what was happening within our respective community. And I personally had the opportunity to sit and talk with people in a nonpartisan way on both sides of the aisle and understand their points and why they chose to write the legislation that they wrote. And then I shared my experiences from my background as a trans person and also as a military veteran. And that actually turned out to be a very positive experience for me personally and for those involved as well.
Do you feel like sometimes we get too focused on making our point, and it can be harder to listen to the person sitting across the table from us?
Absolutely. Research shows that when we're listening, we're already coming up with our response. We're already coming up with our solution and what we want to say. And if we've come to the table with points that we think the other person or the other parties need to hear, then that does it. That puts up barriers, right? So it's always important to listen actively and listen not to respond, but listen to digest what is being said, and then pause. It's okay to pause and then say, how can I help you in this situation? What is our common ground? What is our commonality so that we can move forward in love?
It seems like just that, basic step of listening is a great first step in kind of maybe making some more inroads in our own communities. Do you have other practical strategies for us that we could use in our everyday lives?
Sharing stories. I think this is a time where we're going to get closer as smaller communities and get to know our neighbors. It's so important to understand, where did you come from? Where did you grow up? What are your values? What do you love to do? What do you like? And when we have those intimate story sharing conversations, I personally believe that we get beyond the differences that we have, and we find that we actually have more in common than we do differences.
That's true. You can really understand a person in a much fuller way if you understand more about where they came from. I'm curious to ask you about the types of media that we choose to consume. I know a lot of us feel, I want to stay informed, I want to know what's going on, but I don't want to overwhelm myself and feel like it's all bad news all the time. Do you have strategies of dealing with that?
I can tell you what works for me and what recently worked for me. I turned off all of the news, all of the social media, no television, and I got in my truck and I took my beautiful dog Tilly to the beach. And we didn't listen to anything other than the beautiful sounds of the ocean. And that for me gave me an opportunity to refocus, to get recentered and re-energized for coming back to the world of social media, of to the world of the news and of television, because then I was able to approach it and listen with a leveled head and not an impartial perspective.
I love that. A little break can be so beneficial. Hey, it was really nice to see you. Thanks so much for chatting with us today.
It's always great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We want to remind viewers that Dr. Elijah also has a children's book called Medoodle. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.